Inside here is an aquarium where we keep 2 beluga whales. They're being rehabilitated in there, and a huge indoor pool, which you can see inside of it. They love coming up to the window and doing tricks for you. On the left is our downtown area, and that's it. Yeah. We're around 4,600 now here in Vestmannaeyjar, and we have Bonus, the supermarket. We have Kronan, the other supermarket. So, I mean, what more do you need? Right, we're the 3rd biggest in Iceland, so we look at ourselves as big, and we thought, well, what do big cities do? They have traffic lights, so we put down some traffic lights. That we have here, this blue compound here in front of us called Ísfélagið. You'll notice that it's like the Chanel logo, right? Because this is a very premium product. This is the Chanel of fish. Because we are going to be getting a demonstration from one of my students of a local sport. Well, it used to not be a sport. So back in the day, you think like 1800s, before we had the supermarkets, the only way to get eggs was from the seabirds. And the seabirds nest really high up in the cliffs. So what people used to do is that they attach ropes to the top of the cliffs, they'd rappel down and swing around the nest to catch the eggs.
The way they used to get eggs was what this young lady is doing.
So there's no safety equipment, and this is like the training ground. So this is where parents would take their kids to teach them how to swing in the cliff. My dad brought me there when I was 4, and I've been doing it since. But this golf course, of course, no bias from me when I tell you, this is the best golf course in Iceland right here. Good question. So he was asking about the kids that are working in this. Yeah, earn a little money. It's you know, the hours are very nice. Kids. It's very flexible, and it's easy work. You get to stay out in the sun and just rake grass, and it gets you a little money in your pocket. So it's very pond. We have beautiful nature. We're in a 12,000-year-old caldera. We have a Viking house over there. It's all great. None of that's the reason why it's my favorite, though. This is my favorite place because this is where we celebrate Þjóðhátíð. 15 to 18,000 people into this valley just to camp out and just enjoy a music festival. We'll all gather in this hillside here. We'll all sit in the hill and we'll sing along. Everybody knows all of the lyrics to all of the song. Well, we think we do.
Early Icelandic turf houses were built with stones to create the foundation and walls, then covering the structure with several layers of turf. On the roof, there would usually be a small hole for ventilation, which could be closed in bad weather.
So I think I'll sing for you a song called Ég veit í gær, ég trúi ekki á orðin þín. Ef annað segja stjörnur tvær. Oh, there are puffins on this island. They live in basically all the mountains. There's a huge colony at the south, which you can see. If you would like get somebody to drive you out there, you could totally go and see them. Oh, no.
Probably more sheep than humans. Look
this is what I can tell you in kilometers. So it's 7 kilometers top to bottom and 5 across. It used to be 3 across, but in '73 there was an eruption that happened here, so we gained an extra 2 kilometers.
Wow.
It was a huge eruption. We're actually going to be taking you to the volcanic museum.
Paying no attention.
So he built that house with his father, and it survived the eruption. 1/3 of every house was destroyed. He built that house, so it survived. And he lives in it still to this day with my grandma. And the story that he told me, I don't know the time exactly, but it was in the middle of the night. He woke up to this big orange glow in the living room, because the living room was facing the east where the eruption happened. He initially thought that a house was on fire. So because he saw like people running down the street. So he goes in and wakes my grandma up, and my aunt, who was 3 at the time, wakes him up and says, "Get yourselves ready, go to the harbor, there's no time to pack, run, I'm gonna go help." So he runs out and starts knocking on doors and telling people to go. Meanwhile, my grandma is putting on clothes, she dresses my aunt, she picks her up. But they eventually went to Reykjavik. They had to live there for 6 months while the eruption was going on, and then they came back to the island, helped rebuild. I'm very thankful for people like him because it's thanks to them that I got to grow up here, and it's thanks to them that I still get to live here. King of Spain, and hello, President of Iceland, and all the ambassadors and everybody. Put them on the bus, and he was like, "All right, are you ready to see most beautiful island in world?" King of Spain on my bus, and I have no bread. Could you just pop down to the bakery, just buy some rye bread, put it in the volcano somewhere? They'll never know the difference. It's gonna be fine.
Beautiful.
It's a good story, but I didn't really buy it at first, but Palle, he's still alive. He lives out in Spain with his wife now. I tell him the story, how I told you, and he says, every word of that is completely true. He even added, after the tour, Juan Carlos came up to Palle, put his hand on his shoulder and said, "You know, Palle, you are the best tour guide I have ever had." As well. But here we are at the Volcanic Museum.
Houses were buried under 15 feet of pumice. About 5,000 people headed for the harbor. Some elderly and handicapped were flown out. The lady took her parakeet. Of course, this was in January. All kinds of snow. They were able to take a few animals, but since there was no food, they had to put down most of them. This is after the eruption. Pumice everywhere. A lot of things destroyed. Only fatality was someone who was overcome by toxic fumes. Amazing. Of course, lots of birds and other wildlife died. They didn't know the danger of the toxic gases and certainly didn't have gas masks. The house was buried for 40 years. Now they put it in the museum. So the eruption 30 hours before the eruption, and they didn't have the technology they have today. Science would allow them to give people warning. Iceland is home to about half of the world's puffins. The Westman Islands host the world's largest colony. From April to late summer, the birds pepper the cliffs and meadows. During this time, around 20% of the world's puffin population breeds and raises its young right here. The eruption of the volcano here in 1973 increased the size of this island significantly. And I'm just looking off my deck. I can see that this is a fairly recent volcanic activity that's caused the land to increase here. It was part of the island before the eruption, and this appears to be more recent activity. Outside our room is this huge big cliff. Now that's